Criminals attack and rob Chinese businessmen. Sex offences rising in rural East New Britain. And artificial reefs project to revive destroyed fishing grounds.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Wednesday's news. Criminals along the Laloki Road in Central Province this morning robbed a Chinese man while on his way to Port Moresby for his business runs. According to eyewitnesses, all his money and personal items were taken away by criminal elements.
EMTV News arrived at the scene this morning with police officers. Witnesses say the incident happened between 11 and 12 noon when criminals used high-powered firearms to rob the Chinese man.
Karya bin kuanta tanim kamda mas 4 5 time karya tanim le. So I'm been drive go se ngolo mos PM mo line tu mani karya bin kam lo baksai chol tanim lo namel nols. Blocky way blus mani kar so kamu sei ron tol. Am se amo bigla like power na mo kamu sei na suton te karya kam.
A vehicle belonging to a prominent lawyer was also hit because it was on the road at the time of the incident. However, no injuries were sustained.
Obamim na bla karya. Baim na bla karna em katoflogan mo kam na Manilo. White man na kalab gen lo krusan na guanta so live na go about.
Goli one bibla givelo one bla cruza. Kam go na then U10 area. And then bibla go backside on bla cruza where 10 sita what am I carrying cash money? I must back money karam na kam. Bla 1+2 one company. So karam kami all come out on them all bigla ammunition sol masan kan all come out sol bibla all kare karya tu reefs kam give me bla front ya bibla su bibla want them cruise ya speed kam bibla U10 can come give me bla backside.
Reports of this incident have been registered with the Boroko police station. Police officers say that it was a fast getaway and the crime is still under investigation. Sawato Hahambu, National EMTV News.
The National Court has refused bail application for an accused suspect involved in the Lorengau enterprise robbery in March 2016. Deputy Chief Justice Gibbs Salika withdrew the application of one Kelly Kowo, who has been in custody and is seeking bail on medical grounds. Erica Rupma has this story.
Accused Kelly Kowo from Lorengau in Manus Province appeared in person before Deputy Chief Justice Gibbs Salika to receive the ruling at the Waigani National Court this morning. It was alleged that in March 2016, the accused and an accomplice held up employees of Lorengau Enterprise in Lorengau Town and stole 84,500 kina cash before walking away with goods worth more than 700,000 kina. They were apprehended by police and charged for armed robbery under Section 183 of the Criminal Code Act. While in custody, the accused sought bail in a previous court for his children's medical grounds. However, his application was rejected by the court. In this ruling, Deputy CJ Salika also rejected his application, saying he can be treated in prison instead of using a medical condition to get out of bail. Erica Rupma, National EMTV News.
The National Court has also sentenced 2 people accused of misappropriating project funds totaling 1.6 million kina to 5 years in prison. The money was to be used for the construction of 3 markets and a resource center in the Kirwina Goodenough district in Milne Bay Province.
Deputy Chief Justice Gibbs Salika sentenced Christopher and Agnes Ulape each to 5 years imprisonment with hard labor after they misapplied 1.6 million kina of project funds for their own use. The court added between 23rd of March and 10th of August 2016, the accused submitted a proposal via former MP Jack Cameron through the Department of Personnel Management for the construction of 3 markets and a community resource center on Goodenough Island in Milne Bay Province. It was alleged that on May 17, the accused registered a company named Sports Bearer Production and an approved 1.6 million kina by DPM was deposited into the company's account to carry out the project. Christopher Ulape was the company's director and his co-accused, Agnes Ulape, was the signatory to the account and the one who withdrew the project money. Deputy CJ Salika, after considering the nature of the case with case precedents, told the accused that there are similar instances where a total of over 35 million kina had been misused. However, in the case, the contractors Kepmat and Joe Sito failed to supply the materials to carry out the project. CJ Salika said they dishonestly applied and misused a large sum of money without following proper procurement processes under the Public Finance Management Act. A 12-month period was given to liaise with the contractors to deliver the materials for the project for the sentencing to be dropped. The matter will return on 3rd July to determine the progress of endeavors. Eric Arukma, National MTV News.
Police officers at Open Bay Rural Outpost in East New Britain Province have indicated an increase in sexual offences. Local police officer Sergeant Ben Tokalau says at least 2 sexual penetration cases are reported to the police every day. He said a combination of remoteness and a lack of police presence are the main factors driving up sex crime statistics in the area. Edwin Fidelis reports from Kokopo.
Open Bay is a small rural outpost situated along the borders of East and West New Britain provinces. Census estimates put the total population of Open Bay at around 4,000 people who come from different ethnicities from all over the country. Most of them are employed by the Open Bay Timbers, a Japanese-owned timber company that has been operating here for more than 40 years. Government services reaching this region has been few and far between recent years. Much of the developments happening here are supported by the logging company. The area is isolated, making law and order a big concern for the people who live here. At the local police station, the officer in charge, Sergeant Ben Tokalau, showed me the police station's daily occurrence book. Most of the crime that happened here are sexual offences.
Criminally, lawyer or reported daily is all sexual penetration.
For Sergeant Tokalau, arresting and sending a serious offender to the courthouse is very challenging. The nearest district court is at Karavat and it is a 4-hour road trip.
Sampla all arrest me also system long transportation. I think before the boat. Okay, now I will open this missing now long side line town rural commander one time sa system lo salim karkam naksim gontablo Karavat.
But that is not all. The New Britain Highway will run through Open Bay, and until recently, the small rural outpost has been declared as the main transition point for commuters traveling between the 2 provinces. And for the people here, they are already skeptical about new problems that the highway would bring.
Plenty only no like him, so plenty only like him, that's all.
The police commissioner who visited the area last month has announced that Open Bay police post will be upgraded. Police accommodation will be fixed and moves have already been taken to bring in more police officers to monitor the safety of road users and most importantly to maintain law and order for the people who live here. Edwin Fidelis, National MTV News, Kokopo.
Hela Governor Francis Potape made another call today for the Correctional Service Minister to reopen the provincial jail. Governor Potape said the police operation can be carried out, but where will those arrested be detained? He called on CIS Minister Jimmy Simatab and Correctional Service Commissioner Michael Waipo to reopen the Hiwa jail. Governor Potape says current facilities in Tari cannot hold a massive arrest if the Hela police operation commences.
The question now going forward for Hela province is we need to have a jail. The Hawa jail has to be open. So those who were arrested, all of those who were arrested, the Buyebi jail in the Southern Highlands province is too far away. It's about 5 hours drive, and to bring them back to appear at the courthouse maybe the next day or the following day is too expensive and it's almost impracticable. Therefore, the government must now move quickly to open up the Hawa jail. The Minister for Correctional Service has given me assurance in the last government caucus that the Hawa jail will be commissioned this year. We have only 14 days, and I'm asking the minister, how many when will the Hawa jail be commissioned because it's ready to go?
7 people, including an infant, were injured at about midday yesterday in Bulolo after a Land Cruiser youth rolled into a creek with several passengers on board. The youth was parked on a steep incline on a logging road outside of Bulolo when the brakes failed. Police were called onto the scene after passengers were helped to the district hospital by other passing vehicles. In the news ahead, a project on artificial reefs to safeguard marine life. That story among others after the break. Don't go away. Welcome back to the news. Papua New Guinea will have the ingenuity of an American reefing project to build artificial reefs to save the marine habitats in the country from being further depleted by overfishing. The Fish Reef project, based out of Santa Barbara in the U.S., has come to PNG to share their expertise at making purpose-built reefs. The first rehabilitation site will be Fisherman's Island, an island about 10 kilometers offshore from Port Moresby.
As the country's population increases, the demand for resources also increases. Mr. Goldblatt, who is the founder and chief executive officer of the Fish Reef project from the United States, says that the marine life is a resource that is in danger of being exhausted. Illegal fishing activities and overfishing have put the risk of exhausting the marine resources to an alarming level.
What we aim to do is we're starting at Fisherman's Island, very close to Fisherman's Island, because there's 5,000 people there that make a living off of fishing, and they provide Port Moresby with most of their fish. They've seen some depletion in their fish stocks. They have to run very far, 25 kilometers, to get fish. We can turn that muddy seafloor by putting reef balls on the seafloor. This is a scale model of reef balls, and a full-size one looks like this. They're about 1 meter tall. Here's an example of a reef ball after 5 years on the seafloor. There's so much coral you can't even see the reef ball.
There are over 500,000 reef balls deployed in 70 countries. He says it's a proven technique and should work well for the Fisherman Island community.
Fisherman's Island will live a much better life, and they can fish closer to home. And two very good things ecologically here. You can't be two places at once, so you're not fishing on the natural reefs as much. You're letting the natural reefs recover because the fishing pressure is now on the artificial reef.
Dynamite fishing as one of the main factors destroying the reefs.
And then we've also asked the fishermen at Fisherman's Island to not dynamite fish the reefs. And they've all agreed, everybody has agreed, the village elders have agreed to not dynamite fish, so that's a very good thing.
The project will also be carried out in other parts of the country after its launching next year.
And we look forward in the future to making reefs in the western province for the crayfish fishermen. It'll enhance their ability to access crayfish. Up in Ley, where they've had some fish depletion, and then out to New Ireland and the west coast of New Ireland in that area. So we can really increase the ocean health and overall abundance in Papua New Guinea for the people of Papua New Guinea.
Ngaile Kivali, National EMTV News.
NCD Traffic Division's acting officer in charge says this Christmas was the best Christmas ever. He says this Christmas saw almost no accidents in the city, something which was highly unlikely in the past. In the nation's capital, this Christmas was a Christmas to remember as it was quiet and accident-free.
The surprising decrease of accident incidents in the capital was believed to be a result of continuous awareness conducted by police before and during the Christmas period.
There was no major incidents like fatal accidents or serious accidents, only minor accidents being reported, basically because of awareness. So this Christmas is I think best Christmas I can, as far as in traffic section, I can say that this is the best Christmas period.
With the monitoring strategies carried out, Chief Sergeant Lepo commended the public for taking heed of awareness and behaving accordingly for a successful Christmas operation.
Praise public because they understand what Christmas is all about. not going out and drinking and get excited and killing yourself or getting injured and ending up in hospital.
There were few incidents reported, however, were regarded as minimal compared to previous Christmas incidents.
There were no injuries, no casualties except for minor to few accidents. Like on the 25th, there was 2 minor accidents, just minor car crash, no injuries or victims, and 1 arrest was made just for minor accident, due care and attention. And on the 26th, there was also another 2 accidents, which is also minor.
This is an indication that people have come to realize the true meaning of Christmas. He hopes the attitude of responsible driving should continue into the New Year period and the years to come. Gaile Kivali, National EMTV News.
Although New Ireland province saw a quiet festive season, 1 major arrest and 73 minor ones were recorded. Provincial Police Commander Senior Inspector John Meady said a murder that resulted from a drunken brawl on Christmas Day is being investigated. The incident happened on Lavungai Island. The victim, in his late 30s, sustained injuries from a spear and later died due to heavy blood loss. The suspect, in his mid-20s, is in KVN police custody. Illicit alcohol use also saw a spike in arrests on Christmas Day. 73 youth were arrested on minor charges after they were found either consuming or in possession of homebrewed alcohol. Court dates for those remanded in custody will be available for mention on January 3rd next year. Now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3150 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3075, $0.4256 Australian dollars, $0.2915 euro and 35.83 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and copper closed higher, while coffee and cocoa closed the day lower. Palm oil and copper closed higher, while crude oil closed the day lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 27 points higher, the ASX is trading at 49 points higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 12 points higher. Stories making headlines overseas when we return. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Turning overseas, China says that international efforts to support Taiwan's independence are doomed to fail amid increasing tension in the region. A group of Chinese warships led by the country's sole aircraft carrier entered the top half of the South China Sea on Monday after passing south of Taiwan.
The move comes amid renewed tension over Taiwan, which Beijing claims as its own, and that it views as ineligible for state-to-state relations following U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's telephone call with the island's president that upset Beijing. Speaking at a regular news briefing by China's Taiwan Affairs Office, spokesman An Fengshen said China would exert all its efforts to achieve peaceful reunification. The 1992 consensus refers to Beijing's cherished One China principle that includes Taiwan as part of China. China has given few details of what the Soviet-built Liaoning is up to, save that it is on a routine exercise that complies with international law. Merlin Diaukatam, EMTV World News.
Rescue teams have found the main flight recorder from a Russian military plane that crashed in the Black Sea on Sunday. The recorder could help investigators identify the cause of the crash. All 92 people on board died, including members of a Russian army choir.
They'd been searching for this for more than 2 days. Finally, from the Black Sea today, they recovered the black box flight recorder of the Russian plane. It seemed to have survived the crash in one piece. The device was taken away and flown to Moscow, to this laboratory. For crash investigators, it could provide vital clues to the cause of the disaster. There is data here on the aircraft's speed and altitude, fuel and engines. At the crash site, 70 divers have been working round the clock, searching for bodies. and for wreckage of the plane. Today, the recovery operation brought to the surface larger fragments of the aircraft. Each piece of debris they find, one more clue to this tragedy. The Tupolev 154 belonged to the Russian military. Syria was its final destination, but it crashed after refueling in Sochi. Today, a meeting of Russia's most senior military commanders began with a minute's silence. On the video screen, they showed the names and the faces of the victims. Most of the people on the plane were members of an army choir. The Russian authorities are calling for patience. It will take time, they say, to piece together exactly what happened to the Tupolev jet, to find out why it fell from the sky. And while Russia waits for answers, it continues to search the sea, and back on the shore, it continues to mourn.
Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has paid his country's respects at Pearl Harbor 75 years later. U.S. President Barack Obama joined Mr. Abe to lay wreaths at the site where half of the more than 2,400 Americans died in the Japanese attack on December 7, 1941. Prime Minister Abe said it brought utter silence to him. Addressing the American people at the ceremony, Prime Minister Abe and President Obama hailed the occasion the power of reconciliation.
And the people around the world, as the Prime Minister of Japan, I offer my sincere and everlasting condolences to the souls of those who lost their lives here, as well as to the spirits of all the brave men and women whose lives were taken by a war that commenced in this very place, and also to the souls of the countless innocent people who became victims of the war.
Today, the alliance between the United States and Japan, bound not only by shared interests but also rooted in common values, stands as the cornerstone of peace and stability in the Asia-Pacific and a force for progress around the globe. Our alliance has never been stronger.
The entertainment industry is mourning another legend. Actress Carrie Fisher died just days after suffering an apparent heart attack on a flight from London to Los Angeles. She was just 60 years old. Fisher was best known for her role in Star Wars and later her career as an author and others.
I should have expected to find you holding Vader's leash.
Carrie Fisher won the hearts of generations as Princess Leia in arguably the most beloved movie franchise ever, Star Wars. Princess on screen, Hollywood royalty off it, with a sharp wit and sharper pen. Fisher was born in Beverly Hills. Mother, actress Debbie Reynolds. Father, singer Eddie Fisher.
I was primarily brought up by my mother, but I saw my father.
Fisher deftly wove her experiences as a showbiz kid who struggled with addiction into the best-selling comedic novel, Postcards from the Edge.
I was writing different takes on obsession, so I think of that as sort of the edge, and I thought of it in the car one day, driving back from Palm Springs with the music up loud.
Fisher turned her acclaimed book into a movie starring Meryl Streep as a recovering addict embroiled in constant, often funny, mother-daughter drama.
Remember my 17th birthday party when you lifted your skirt up in front of all those people? I did not lift including my that guy skirt. Michael. It twirled up!
Fisher poked fun at the absurdities of showbiz life and all manner of self-medication, including taking pills to control her emotions.
Any mood stabilizer is a weight gainer. So whether you feel better, but then you're fat, so what you gain is a loss. It's not a good situation.
Fisher spoke about being bipolar and often turned pain into humor, also writing wishful drinking and shockaholic. There seemed no lack of material. After all, Elizabeth Taylor became her stepmother when Eddie Fisher remarried. Fisher was briefly married to singer Paul Simon in the 1980s. Years later, she gave birth to a daughter, Billy Catherine, from her relationship with agent Brian Lord. She debuted in the acclaimed film Shampoo.
I'm nothing like my mother.
In between the Star Wars movies, Fisher landed a mishmash of movie roles, some stinkers. Under the Rainbow, Hollywood Vice Squad.
I bet you have names for every part of your body.
Received praise for Soap Dish.
I think we found our waiter.
And played Meg Ryan's wisecracking friend in When Harry Met Sally.
Someone is staring at you in personal growth.
But nothing could, would, or perhaps should loom larger on screen than Fisher in Star Wars.
Transported you. It was extraordinary entertainment filmmaking.
Do you like the princess?
A Costa Rican foundation has been rescuing women from sex trafficking. Mariliana Morales runs the Rehabilitation Center, a non-profit organization that rescues and supports survivors of sexual exploitation. She says she wants them to live in peace and have hopes for their future.
It's Saturday night in downtown San Jose, Costa Rica. A vibrant nightlife keeps the streets full and the clubs crowded well into the early morning hours. But away from the bright lights, in the shadows, you can find sex for sale on nearly every corner. Some are not here of their own free will, victims of sex trafficking. Mariliana Morales says she was called by God to pull as many off the streets as she can.
We go out on the streets to look for them, night after night, week after week. We talk to them.
Morales runs Rehab Foundation, a non-profit she founded nearly 20 years ago that rescues, rehabilitates, and supports survivors of sexual exploitation.
These men and women who come here come to build a new, dignified life so they can live in peace.
Like Karina, who spent her childhood begging in the streets. By 15, she was selling sex for money and drugs. She wanted out, but didn't have anywhere to go, until she met a woman who offered her a good job in Mexico. Karina says she made it sound so easy.
She told me they got you a passport and gave you money for your family, and if you didn't like the place, you could go back. So I asked her what type of work was available there, and she said there was work as a waitress or in an office, nothing to do with prostitution. It was all good.
It was all a lie. When she arrived in Mexico, Karina says she was immediately forced into sex slavery. Held against her will, forced to have sex with as many as 5 men at a time, and paid nothing. She managed to escape and made her way back to Costa Rica, and eventually to Rehab Foundation. She says this place changed her life.
How do you feel about your future now? How do you feel?
I feel it's more promising. I have higher expectations about the future. But the past always follows you. The memories always haunt you. Sometimes I'm fine, but then other times I remember and I cry. It's not easy. Even though it was many years ago, for me, it feels like it was yesterday.
Although Karina was trafficked out of Costa Rica, Morales says many are trafficked into the country.
We have a lot of undocumented victims, especially from neighboring countries. Migrants are so vulnerable that whoever offers a good job, they believe it. They are trusting and want to believe that human beings are still good.
Yuderka says that's what happened to her. She was struggling to support her family in the Dominican Republic when she heard about a good job as a housemaid in Costa Rica.
They told us that you can earn $500 a month working family homes, but when you arrive here, what they want you to do is prostitute yourself. They keep your passport, and they told us we couldn't leave. You are a prisoner there because you have debts to pay. They want you to work hour after hour in the bed.
Yuderka says she was stuck in slavery for 6 months, unable to contact her family back home until she was rescued by Rehab Foundation.
My future is good. Things are going well. Above all, they help me with self-esteem. I've learned a lot here because I tell you, they helped a lot.
She has succeeded in overcoming. She has succeeded in restoring her life. But it's still a process.
a process that Morales cherishes. And she says this isn't just her mission in life, it will be her legacy.
I am leaving something for my grandchildren, for future generations, so they can live in peace. When I'm gone, when this is gone, I left something, a contribution.
Chukai Sports is next. We'll be back with all the details after the break. Stay with us.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The Pacific Rugby League's annual club championship between PNG and Fiji Premiers will take place in Fiji next year. The Melanesian Cup fixture will see the Digicel Cup champions Lae Snacks Tigers play Nandi Aviators. The Aviators team is made up of players from 4 clubs in the Nandi zone, whilst the Tigers will retain the services of 5 of their Hunters players who are now part of the Queensland Cup side. The inaugural club championship fixture last year saw then Premiers Agmark Gruers defeat the Sabeto Roosters 42-2 at the Sir John Guise Stadium. This year's club championship will be held at Lawanga Park in Singatoka, Fiji on February 18, 2017. 33 players remain in the SB Hunters pre-season train-on squad after week 3 of intensive training at the National Sports Institute in Goroka. SB Hunters coach Michael Marum added 2 academy players in Joseph Moke and Thompson Yakumbu.
The 2 players join Aiden Arusa and Muka Peter Kula from the Southern Academy when the Hunters pre-season training resumes in Port Moresby next week. 9 players have been released after the Goroka camp. They are Andrew Ipi, Benjamin Hatra, Joe Frank, John Grant Arime, Mafu Kalas, Nixon Borana, Philemon Kimisive, Tau Fitzgerald and William Mone. Marum said the players will return to their Intercity Cup teams and, like the others, can make their way back into the Hunters team depending on their performances. The 33-man squad to go into camp in Port Moresby on January 3, 2017 are all faces like Adex Wera, Ase Boaz, Blanda Bavu, Wartovo Puara, Enoch Maki, Esau Siune and more. 25-year-old Karo Kauna, who took part in the Australian TV series The NRL Rookie, has also been named in the squad. The Albert brothers have made the 33-man squad with former captain Israel Eliab. Willie Minoga from the Townsville Blackhawks has also made it into the squad. A 27 or 28-man squad will be finalized in the next 2 weeks to take part in the 2017 Queensland Interest Super Cup competition. Elijah Lavette, National EMTV Sports.
Manly Sea Eagles hooker Matt Parcel is set to join the Leeds Rhinos in replacement of James Seguiaro. Leeds Rhinos is breathing easier after finding a ready-made replacement for the runaway PNG international.
Seguiaro was expected back at the Leeds pre-season training in January, but he told the club he would not return from Australia and see out the final 2 years of his UK contract. However, Leeds Chief Executive Officer Gary Hyington said they would still require a hefty transfer fee from NRL clubs for Seguiaro. Seguiaro initially joined Leeds on loan from the Penrith Panthers in July, helping them win 9 of their last 10 matches and retain their Super League status. However, Seguiaro revealed after an off-season break he had been homesick at Leeds and did not want to leave Australia. Leeds moved to soften the blow of Seguiaro's departure by signing Parcel, who has a genuine interest in going to England. Leeds recently proposed a $427 Australian fee for the ex-Penrith hooker who has been linked to NRL champions Cronulla Sharks in replacement of Michael Ennis. There is also a rumour of him joining the Manly Sea Eagles. Elijah Lavette, National EMTV Sports.
David Chung has been re-elected as president of PNG Football. That story, among others, still to come in Chukai Sports. Stay tuned.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome back to Chukai Sports. David Chung has been re-elected as president of the PNG Football Association for a fourth consecutive term. This announcement was made today at the 14th PNG FA Elective Congress held in Kimbe, West New Britain Province today. Chung, in his acceptance speech, stated that the next 4 years will be very busy, with a new women's league to be launched in 2017 as part of his leadership commitments. Other executives include John Wesley Gonjuan and Linda Wanuhali as senior vice presidents, with the meeting attended by Kimbe, WOW, Mount Hagen and NBPOL associations. Meanwhile, suspended Hikari President John Capinato has expressed disgust at the manner in which the PNG Football Association has carried out its General Congress. Capinato, in an email, was responding to an article published in a newspaper stating that he was still a candidate for elections despite his suspension. In a news conference yesterday, Capinato said current PNG FA President David Chung was using the political instability to maintain his position of influence in PNG football.
In yesterday's news conference, Hikari President John Capinato had been joined by other member associations within the PNGFA structure who had been suspended. These include Mendi, Bougainville, Hikari, Manus and the Lay Football Association. Capinato is adamant that the suspensions of these member associations were timed prior to the election to allow current President David Chung to remain in power.
7 player you suspend him. 5 player non-member suspension. But I'm all 5 player, I'm all sabota blow me. Me like find out lo tomorrow lo December 28 lo Congress whether Mr. Chung na GS can talk in me also. Talking Papua New Guinea also. He got quorum lo tomorrow.
Among Capinato's strongest supporters have been the Lay Football Association, who are both the biggest and oldest association in Papua New Guinea. The LFA themselves also have their own issues. With the suspension of First President Toki Mambara, followed by the suspensions of newer presidents Roy Kamen and Vice Stanley Kana, LFA's new executives led by Andrew Nirik Mata have now also been placed under suspension.
Personal issue. It's against Mr. Roy Kamen. It's a personal matter. It's a personal issue. It's nothing to do with LFA. It's directly from PNGFA to Mr. Kamin and Mr. Kana to be suspended, totally outside. It's not because LFA was involved. No, totally no.
LFA General Secretary Haiveta Kivia says the suspensions are a ruse intended to offer more support for the current PNGFA administration to remain in office.
Outline the terms and conditions of our suspension, why we were suspended, outline in detail, and by law break it down and say we breach this law, we breach this constitution, we breach this statutes, so that our suspensions can stand. Right now, our suspensions can stand, a lot of us. They've written a letter to all associations dated November 28. The basic reasons was that the electoral code enforce your suspension. That is it. No reasoning telling us that you, Manus, did not do your competition. You, LFA, did not pay your registration fee. I did not, let's say, open up a bank account or something like that. No reasons were given to us.
All parties were unable to travel to Kimbe, West New Britain Province for the General Congress, stating unavailability of tickets. Jeremy Moggy, National EMTV Sports.
In related news, members of the Lay Football Association have come out publicly announcing that they have nothing to do with a court case between two estranged executives and the PNG Football Association. Lay City Dwellers manager Peter Seske says he is concerned that the relationship between the PNG FA and LFA may turn sour, leading to a prolonged suspension. The Lay Football Association had already been suspended before Christmas. LFA Secretary General Alex Toki John says elite PNG footballers play in the Lay Football Association competition and their welfare cannot be put in jeopardy.
You know, while we are under suspension for a certain time, this may cause us to get the full suspension. And for our players' stake and their welfare, and it's going to jeopardize them. We've heard about Port Moresby's PMSA suspension, and we know they went into 3 or 4 years suspension. We can't have this big association going into that.
Representing all these club affiliate members, I feel that I have to come out publicly to speak that whatever happens with the Secretary, Mr. Hawit Kiwia and Mr. Andrew Nirik, is not being endorsed by the Congress of LFA. What they are doing is for their own self-interest. We don't know what they are trying to do. But if anything, saying about the association is not discussed in the Congress before being pushed forward for anything, like going to the court case, it will jeopardize and it will spoil our career. Plus the old young people, like the Minister for Lay City Dwellers speaks.
EMTV understands there is currently a power tussle within LFA's ranks, which has resulted in 2 different groups claiming executive positions. On the same note, Peter Seske, the manager of NSL champion club Lay City Dwellers, has publicly criticized a local daily newspaper for stating that sidelined LFA president Roy Kamen is also Lay City Dwellers manager. Seske says the mistake could cost the Lay Football Association a prolonged suspension and risk the Dwellers OFC Champions League spot next year.
The national and the directors or the board of the national to give us put out an article tomorrow apologizing to Lay City Dwellers that how they got our names into there is totally wrong. Because we're already affected by one association executive who is doing things on his own interest, and here we see in the newspaper that another group is trying to drag us into another problem. So as an official of Lay City Dwellers, I say Roy has got nothing to do with us. And I want to tell NSL board and PNGFA that we can't be dragged into that. We are already concerned about the case today, the court case today, and we are seeing that our participation in OFC is in question.
International football, and Cristiano Ronaldo was awarded Player of the Year in the Globe Soccer Award in Dubai. His team Real Madrid was awarded Club of the Year.
The winner is Cristiano Ronaldo, of course.
The world soccer champ Cristiano Ronaldo has again snatched the Player of the Year award. Live on a video link, Ronaldo yesterday told the awards ceremony it had probably been his best year ever, and he wanted to do it all over again next year.
Well, as I say, it was a dream year in terms of individual and collective. Probably was my best year so far. We win the Champions League for Real Madrid. We win for the first time for the Portugal national team the first important title. As you mentioned, I win the Golden Ball. I win World Cup clubs. What I can ask for more? The people still doubt about me, about Real Madrid, about national team, and you have the proof. We win everything. So, amazing year. I'm so happy. You know, it was a fantastic year, individual and collective. Next year, we're going to try to do the same. We know it's going to be tough because it's almost impossible, but every year is a challenge for me. So I will try to do my best all the time. So thank you very much.
As voted for, congratulations to our referee of the year, Mark Clattenburg.
Mark Clattenburg was declared referee of the year, having officiated the UEFA Champions League final, the UEFA Euro 2016 final, and the English FA Cup final this year. Asked about the video review system which was trialed at the recent Club World Cup tournament, Clattenburg agreed it was the future of refereeing.
I think many referees think this system will be a great addition in many years to come, and we want the matter of fact. For sure the referees will make mistakes. I make mistakes in many matches, and when it's a matter of fact, I would like to review the decision and make sure I do not influence a huge result in a game of football. When it's opinion, we have many opinions in football, And this is the great debate of football. But when it's a matter of fact, the ball over the line or incorrect corner or incorrect penalty, then as a referee, we hold our hand up and say we made a mistake and we want to improve.
FIFA President John Infantino was directly addressed by Cameroonian player Samuel Eto'o, who was picking up a Lifetime Achievement Award. Eto'o is the most decorated African player, formerly of Real Madrid, Barcelona, Chelsea and Inter Milan. Shane Soroya, EMTV World Sports.
And that ends Chukai Sports. The weather details when we come back.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region: showers and rain in Port Moresby, Alotau and Popondetta, thundery showers in Daru and showers in Kerma. In the Momase region, rain showers in Lae, showers and rain in Medang and cloudy in Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine and sunny in Lorengau, Kokopo and Rabaul, mostly fine in Kavieng and Buka, and a shower or two in Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, rain showers in all centers.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And that has been Wednesday's news, 28th December 2016. On behalf of the entire EMTV News team, I'm Helen Sea. Pleasant viewing. Good night.